another episode of We Are Not Okay, where we get real about the messiness of growth, healing, and leading with intention. Today, we are digging deep, literally and spiritually, as we explore what it means to prepare the soil before the planting begins. Whether you're leading a team, a family, or just trying to lead yourself through a difficult time, one truth remains the same. Nothing grows without groundwork. Before the harvest, there's the hustle, the hard, sometimes uncomfortable work of turning over what's been buried, nourishing what's been dry, and creating the right environment for something new to take root. Let's be honest, most of us want the fruit without the digging. We want thriving teams, clear direction, and healthy connections. But we skip the step that matters most, preparing the soil. So, in this episode, we'll break down what that looks like practically, from assessing the energy in your space to releasing old mindsets and inviting collaboration. We're here to shift from survival mode to sustainable growth. It's time to check the ground beneath us. We plant the vision ahead of us. Now, help me introduce my co-host, Nasiyr.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Hello. Hotep.
Yes.
How you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful.
Good. I'm so excited today. I know we have our guests back again, and I have lots of questions for them. Guys, please, if you have any questions for our guests, please let me know in the chat. Okay? He's here with us, and he has lots of stuff to show us. So go ahead. If you want to go ahead and introduce our next guest.
Yeah, so before we just jump in, we're going to do a review, right?
Okay.
Of some of the things that we did last week. I'm going to share my screen, but we're going to bring back our beloved brother, Dita Bam. You know, he was with us last week, and he took us through an episode of, you know, how do we go about preparing the soil. So you're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're also going to do some recapping. We'll show some nice video, and I'm excited to get into it. Okay.
Me too.
Let's see what's going on here. All right. So let me know. Let's bring in the brother.
All right.
Let me know.
Let's bring in our good brother.
There he goes. Stage. He's backstage. Okay.
How you been this week?
Well, I'm going to say, like in the words of the late, great Dr. Neely Fuller, I'm still learning.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm always looking for opportunities to learn more things. So, you know, this week has been, as usual, a learning experience. I'm a little sluggish today. I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Capoeira, so a brother's sport.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
But I'm here. My energy is high.
Love that. So what's your favorite thing that you learned this week?
This week, I've been having some challenges just in society, navigating what appears like to me that a lot of people have main character syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, just trying to navigate people's personalities.
Yeah.
And just, you know, ultimately trying to show grace, but also setting boundaries and having to deal with people's irrational responses to reasonable things, which is very interesting to me. So that's kind of like the main thing I've been kind of peeping throughout the week, you know, just really how people really think they're like the main character in a movie and everybody else is just kind of background.
Well, I feel like you are the main character in your movie, but that's your movie.
Sure.
Like,
well,
not my movie. Yeah, so, you know, don't come over here acting like you're main in my movie.
Right. So my main thing
is might be a supporting cast.
Absolutely.
You know, I know Dita said his energy is high.
I love it.
But I know the brother doesn't eat sugar, right? But he must have. Maybe he has some sweet
like you refine sugar like that. Not really, you know.
But your body recognizes sugar. If you ate some fruit, your body still recognizes sugar.
Absolutely. Yep.
Mhm.
That's why it's like refined sugar. But I mean, I'm pretty disciplined, but I'm not a prude. I enjoy things, but I try to, really be conscientious about what I'm doing. And
Absolutely. You want this vehicle to last a long time,
I mean, a lot of times,
right?
you think about it on the back of most of the foods we get, there's a serving size that I don't think most people even pay attention to.
I do. I
All right.
do.
Thoughtful people
For
do.
certain
Sure.
things, bacon, I had to start paying attention because I would just like, psh, like what? What you mean 2 pieces? I had about 5.
Hey, you know what? I forgot. I meant to do this earlier. I said, as a reminder, sis, our brother is a ethical vegan.
Oh yeah.
This brother's an ethical vegan.
I listen.
We
I
need to
might even
know the
want. I
audience.
might even going to tell you a lie. I thought about that so many times this week and it was just like chuckling, like, girl, you sound like, he probably was like, this girl's a psycho. Like, I'm over here talking about meat and stuff. And he's like, ethical vegan. I was like, wow.
I don't want him to
But
pass out on us.
that's inspiring to me though. That's inspiring. When I have my chef, I'll be I probably won't even be an ethical vegan then. Yeah, when I get my chef. But no.
So just to remind the viewers, this is an excerpt, a spinoff of Kyseé's podcast called Conversations with Kyseé. But we have a series that we've developed called We Are Not Okay, which really addresses a lot of the psychological trauma as a result of us experiencing enslavement and colonization between Africa and the U.S. and the diaspora. So, you know, the the series We Are Not Okay is actually addressing and providing solutions so that we are okay. Right? Is that fair?
That's absolutely fair.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So, as one of the productive things that we can do to secure our future is to participate in agriculture, right? And we're using the principles of both umoja, which is unity, right? We come together. And then, when we come together, we practice ujima, which is, from our 7 principles of Ngoza, Saba. But it's collective work and responsibility in that, we identify, what we need and what challenges and problems are before us. And we work collectively together to overcome those problems in our community, right? And so, with, practicing, I did this, right? Africulture, right? We're going to learn a bunch of stuff relative to providing food solutions for the community. We're going to get a lot of benefits that come in many forms, like health and wellness. You know, we have the things that we grow will be natural. They'll be under our sphere of influence and control. It'll be sustainable. We're going to do things without trying to harm the planet, and we're going to do it locally. Locally is wherever you are. It doesn't have to be here in Neptune where I am, or in Long Branch where Kyseé is, or particularly in upstate New York. There's Syracuse where Brother Dita Bam is. But, we can produce in our own towns through using grow teams where we've selected friends and neighbors. We strategize on what we're going to plant and try to avoid duplication in planting the same thing so that when there is a surplus, we can go ahead and trade and barter.
Share the love.
Go ahead, Kyseé.
No, I said share the love.
Yeah. So everybody may not like onions, right? And so, but another person on your grow team may decide to grow potatoes, right? Another person may decide to grow carrots. Another person may decide to grow watermelons, right? And so if we work collectively and we share our surplus, we can hopefully reduce our food costs, right? And we should be eating healthier food as a result.
Yes.
Okay. And so once we learn how to, practice these principles under, cooperative work and responsibility, we learn how to plant, or we learn how to prepare the soil, you know, we teach, right? We promote it, we share it.
Yes.
That's really the most important thing. We have to teach and share what we learn. So, funny thing, right? I've been talking a lot to Kyseé about AI and Chat GPT, and I ended up getting this, it's like a horoscope almost. And so when I opened it up today, look what it said. It said in Neptune, New Jersey, being it's on the 6th, right, in April, that I should consider planting. So look how timely this was, right?
It pays attention.
Right? I'm thinking, is this thing monitoring,
It does.
what I'm doing and what I'm looking at and what I'm talking?
It does.
It does, right?
Once you put something in Chat GBT, it remembers.
Wow.
You don't have to go back and say whatever. Like when I'm doing, it remembers anything. It's like you're having a conversation with your friend.
And so the advisor said, I need to go out and start planting, right, outdoors. And so I don't know about these particular foods. I do eat most of these foods here, but we're going to talk with Brother Dita Bam, and we're going to find out, what it is that this brother has been growing, right? And so, the growing and harvesting process is a step-by-step process. We agree we can't do this in one show, right?
No.
No, not even close. So we're going to break it up into little pieces, right? In our previous show, we talked about soil preparation. And when we talked about soil preparation, just to give a quick little recap, one of the insights that, I got from Brother Dita is that food is power, right? And when we understand the hardships that our communities have around being able to eat food and eat healthy food and reduce our food costs, we forget that a lot of us end up suffering for lack of knowledge. So this platform is aimed at providing knowledge so that we can avoid that and we can empower ourselves. Brother Dita, did I miss anything?
No, I think that was right on point.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what we learned real quick, right? We learned the benefits of dandelions, right? We learned about the different soil types. We saw some examples of composting methods. We learned about raised gardens, how to kill the grass using the tarp, and then how to prepare and start to prepare for the next season and getting ready. We talked about using the garlic and putting them in the the compost early in the season. And then when you come back in the early spring, they will start sprouting right on time, right?
Right.
And so we learned about uh, the benefits of having worms, and we talked about worm farms and worm towers and worm castings. We talked about what organic is, and you gave a really good definition on what organic was. And we got into when's the right time. So people, if you did not see the last video, you got to go back to episode 5 and see grow teams in soil cultivation, right? You'll get a lot out of it. We enjoy doing it. And so as a follow-up to that, I'm going to put up a video of what Brother Dita does with his family in terms of food preparation and composting. So while I'm teeing that up, if you guys have any comments, go ahead and share. Are you guys being well behaved today?
Not trying to step on your
Well,
toes.
right. And I had my microphone on mute. I was talking to social media over here.
Oh, okay.
Telling them to leave us some questions if they had
Okay, so
any.
let me pull up this video. Indeed, I appreciate you providing this video for us. Let's see.
That's what's up.
Here we go. All right, can you see it?
Yeah.
Get that out the way. Gonna hit play, okay?
All right. Can you go to full
Let me put
screen?
it. Yeah, I'll put it on full screen. Here we go. There we go. See the whole kitchen.
So we have a little compost bucket on the counter. So as you're preparing your food, you get into the habit of, instead of throwing your scraps into the trash, we collect them. Just trying to make the process as convenient and part of your everyday life as possible. And then right off of the kitchen, we have a larger bucket with a really tight lid on where we collect everything. So once that bucket gets full, then that's when we take it out to the compost bins. We'll see in a second.
Wait, I'm sorry, Dita. You said once that bucket does what?
Gets full.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and
And I just paused the video for a second.
yeah, a lot
Go
of
ahead,
times
Dita.
super inconvenient to go out in the winter, especially here. You're like knee deep in snow, so it gives us a little buffer to collect the stuff. But ideally, you could just take it straight out. But yeah, just like I said, out of convenience.
And yesterday, Kyseé, I was scurrying around and looking through my garage for an old bucket, right? And I had to end up calling Dita to get some tips offline to what bucket I should use or what type of container I should use, and do I need to put holes in it and things of that. Dita, you mind covering that with the viewers?
Yeah. So I mean, again, anything. We have such a wealth of information readily available to us. So I would always encourage people, when you're interested in something, Google it, YouTube it. So check it out because there's a lot of really good information on it. But, composting can be as simple as or as complex as, your area allows. You know, we used to live in a condo and I composted it in a bucket about the same size as the one that we're using to catch stuff. And so you just kind of I kind of turned that into a compost bin. The main thing, like, is to have holes to aerate it. But then Nasiyr was talking about he has some like larger bins, and it's essentially the same thing. You'll see when we go outside exactly how simple those composts are. So let's push it so we can go outside. It'll make a little more sense.
I love that for you.
Oh, look at the doggy. What's the
Oh, I'm
doggy's
sorry.
name? What's the dog's name, Dita?
Our dog,
Yeah.
our dog's name is Abdullah.
Abdullah. We gonna come back to that one, brother. You got Muhammad in there?
So walk with me to my backyard. So as you can see, I got 3 stages of compost. So this one in the middle is the freshest one. So it has, stuff that we've been most recently started. So you just dump it on in there. See, notice the holes in it. That helps to aerate it. You can mix it as well to help, take the stuff off the bottom and put the top stuff on the bottom.
So, Dita, I'm sorry. Did you buy it like that, or did you put the holes in
You
it?
just drill
Just
them
for
in.
people.
So our
Okay.
county kind of changed up the trash cans. So you can, just recycle. So this is the second stage I'm about to show you. So stuff that's like almost broken down, just in the spirit of things that are readily available. It's not like you necessarily have to,
He got kicked out. He'll come back. He'll come back.
like
So,
just use stuff that's readily available. If you got trash cans sitting around, as long as you have a nice tight lid. And the reason I do those is because it's food. So I don't want to
right.
encourage like rodents and stuff like that. So those I keep, sealed.
Yeah. So, because I know like we got a big problem with squirrels. How do you keep the squirrels out?
Right. That is the challenge, right?
Yeah. How do you? Because
I
they bite a hole in everything.
Yeah, I don't have very aggressive squirrels in my
Oh,
area.
you're blessed.
And my yard, we have one of those vinyl fences around, so I mean, and I do live in a
Okay, yeah.
relatively rural area. But it's, it keeps the deer out. Every once in a while I see a squirrel, but they're not super interested in. They probably don't
Really?
know
Every
about
once
that.
in a while? I have some thugs.
Yeah, I mean, I did live somewhere where we had like, really aggressive squirrels, and they'll chew through your plastic trash cans.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I had the metal ones. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're having
Mm-hmm.
that issue, just get metal trash cans
Right.
with a nice tight fitting lid, and you can do the same thing. You just drill holes through it. Get you a drill bit that can
Okay.
go through metal.
Go through that.
Yeah.
So until he comes back, I have my own questions for
Sure.
you, really. So what do you just can't can you put anything in a compost? Or you just want to do
Oh, so yeah.
like what?
So now that's an interesting question because there are always a bunch of different ways to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
basically, it's like aerobic and anaerobic compost.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
aerobic is air. So
Yeah.
that's what I do is aerobic. It's
Okay.
air, but there are ways to compost anaerobically, and it's more like it involves enzymes, and you can do it in a sealed container. If you look it up, it seems like they do it a lot in Japan.
Well, yeah. Well, I know the enzymes eat up everything.
Mhm.
I know when I had my worm farm and I was composting, I couldn't put anything citric in there.
Right. So then that's another level.
So,
So that, yeah, right. So if it's a worm,
but I mean,
then
if
there's
it's just
certain
for
things.
but like if it's just for a regular garden, you should be able to put just about anything in there. I would think.
Yep. So and the way I compost, it's like I said, aerobic. It's pretty much the easiest way. It's not a whole lot to it. The main thing you have to think about is the nitrogen and carbon balance. You want more carbon.
Mm.
You want more carbon than nitrogen, and that's
And how do you control that?
it's just a fancy way of saying nitrogen is like green stuff, like freshly cut vegetables. That would be nitrogen. And carbon are dried plants, so leaves. And
Okay.
I put carbon input into mine by grinding up cardboard boxes.
Okay.
So
Oh yeah, I used to have to do that too. I used to have to shred my paper, shred boxes to put in with the worm farm. I'm getting my worm
yeah,
farm back. Damn it.
Hello.
hey, welcome back.
Oh, welcome back, Nasiyr.
Right.
Hey, we seen you.
I got a
I was like, well,
message.
I had my own questions for Dita anyway, so I'm like, well, why he's not here? And I ain't finished. I got my packets yesterday, so no, I'll wait for that. I'm looking at that might be going into 3 as far as the seeds,
No,
because I have a question about that too.
No, I
But
think
I don't want
we
to
can
get
cover that.
we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We can cover it. So let me get the video. My apologies. I guess my I took a
It's
trip this
technology.
weekend, right? I went to Baltimore, right? And I took my laptop with me. And so when I came back, I didn't realize that I'd never plugged my power cord back in. And so I got the message on the screen that says battery power low. And I'm like, what do you mean? Right? And I'm looking for the cord. And I'm like, oh, where's the cord? It was just behind the monitor and stuff. So it just took a minute to reboot and then
And look at that, and you're back like that.
the
the
studio.
funny
You're
thing
back like
about that, I sat down and did my little setup here, and my phone was at
that.
100%, and I just felt such a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah,
100%.
I try and keep these
Right.
phones,
Okay.
all the devices plugged up and charged because being on social media steals the energy so quick, like this one.
I'm going to fast forward it a little bit. Okay, we're outside.
All right, let's go back to that video. I was looking. That was some interesting stuff we was looking at.
We got
So we stopped at just to catch us up, the first bin, the fresh stuff goes in. Second one was obviously one that was used that way, but it got to a point where I wanted to start breaking down, because if you keep adding input in, right, that's new stuff. And so you let the compost get to a point basically filled up, and from there you just don't put any more inputs in it, and then it starts to break down and turn into
All right, so I'm sorry, you may have said this already. So you do it like a layer of food and then a layer of the leaves,
sure, yeah,
or you just okay,
Yep. Like I
Okay.
said, more
All right.
carbon than nitrogen, but
Right.
that's like a rule of thumb. It'll eventually all compost. So again, this is the second stage, and you can see how everything is starting to get brown and uniform in color. You know, you see a couple little speckles of color in there.
Yes.
Hey, Tina.
So, you know, it's basically breaking down. You could use that at that point, really.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
then the third one, this is my pride and joy. Look at that soil I created. It's amazing. I mean, it
So
has like no stink to it. It's just, and you can see the leaves and stuff in it, which is fine. It's up to you how you want to use it. Some people sift it. You know, I'm not that pedantic about it, you know.
mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter, right?
Oh, that stuff would just keep breaking down.
Yeah.
But it
Well, I
has like
know.
zero
I,
smell to it. It's amazing. How it goes from the first stage, which is kind of stinky. And
mm-hmm.
this is
Because it's rotten food.
my big pile of like grass clippings and leaves and stuff. So this one, you know, it's not any squirrels don't want to eat that. I just, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but as you see it, like if as you dig in, you can start seeing it's breaking down more and more.
Yeah.
So, and again, like I said, when I set up my new beds, I'll use like a layer of this, a couple layers of this, and then towards the
Hey,
back.
Tina.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to the camera, sis.
It does. It doesn't. It'll catch
Okay,
up.
so
Don't pay no mind. It'll catch up.
I'm seeing holes on the side.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get in a shootout? Was there a shootout, or
I
did you
brought them
put
from
those holes in?
Chicago.
I know you brought the cans from Chicago, but
No, what?
tell us something about that, brother.
Yeah, well, I was just telling the sister that there's, you know, the way I compost is called aerobic compost. So air is a component in helping break it down. So those holes are to aerate the matter that you're
Mm-hmm.
breaking down. And I also have like a tool that you stick in there and it mixes it up for you. You know, so it's good to like turn it occasionally, but as long as you have the holes in it, it helps air flow through it.
Okay,
And that's why I don't
excellent.
mind putting bigger things in. If you look, you saw like some branches and stuff in there. I put that stuff in there
Mm-hmm.
purposefully to keep it from compacting so that air can
Mm-hmm.
still flow
Mm.
through it.
Because
And
that's
towards,
the biggest issue that I have
Gotcha.
when I put the soil down is it gets too compact,
sure,
right?
right.
Yeah, you want that air to go
And
through.
so like my
Yeah.
beds, I don't have to till them or anything. There's no till. Um, because there's so much activity with the worms and stuff and how everything's breaking down. And I put inputs in it. Like I said, winterizing your beds. So I put the leaves on it, so that's breaking down over the winter. And so I basically don't really have to till. You know, just kind of dig in, and if you're doing you know, seedlings, you can stick them in. I usually
Right.
make a hole with some of the compost around it,
Okay.
and then I collect my sticks. So just kind of showing everybody how I use everything in my environment that I can for free local resources, where most people would put that stuff on
Mm-hmm.
the curb and let them haul it away to the landfill. You're using that.
I won't anymore.
Yeah, you're using this stuff that's already there. And
Mm-hmm.
it's, you know, like I said, once you get the beds going, like, again, you're going to have to pay for soil initially to get it started, but you're constantly adding nutrients to it. So at some point, you know, it's running. It's just your attention that you give to it, you know.
Right.
So let's talk about dirt for a minute. I wish I had brought that up
Do
here.
we before we get into the dirt? I just want to know: is there more of the video that we need to continue to play, or is that basically
No,
it?
that was pretty much the compost
Okay.
set up, and the rest is just, you know, yeah, you saw the whole thing, like the outside pile, the sticks that you know, it's just illustrating how you can organize these things, these resources, you know, to benefit you. And so we kind of break the sticks down.
Mm-hmm. I love the yard. Yard is huge.
Dude, I got to talk to him.
Yeah. No, I got a lot of room to expand.
Mm-hmm.
So and
And
then, you know,
Yeah, you can have a whole farm back there.
yeah. And so I'm scaling it, you know, like I'm not rich. So
Right.
So imagine if every year I add 2 boxes, I add a box, when it's all said and done, I could have, easily like 6, 7 grow boxes back there. And that's plenty. I mean, that's
Yeah, and if you have a farmer's market, you can go sell it there.
right. You know, and with me, it's more like growing things and figuring out ways to preserve them through to the next season. And then eventually I'll set up like some like hot houses over them. There's ways you can build like so I can have a couple beds with coverings throughout the winter.
Oh,
Then I
really?
can be growing stuff, throughout the year.
Really?
Well,
Like
eventually,
wrap a little burlap or something over them? Like I see like sometimes trees are wrapped up around here for the wintertime. Okay. All right. I never heard of that,
so
huh?
just
So,
scaling it. So all this is just like conceptually when we're talking about how can people take their power back through
mm-hmm.
feeding ourselves, right? And all
Mm-hmm.
the other benefits, but thinking about it strategically in a way where it makes sense. It's something you can do
Yes.
over and over. You can, and I get wood from Home Depot to do my beds, but you can
Mm-hmm.
even get to the point where you're collecting logs, like all those sticks I collect. There's a way you can build it where you're making a grow bed like
Mm-hmm.
just free stuff. At
Yeah.
some point, I know in my mind, I'm going to be building like different grow beds out of, just free
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I find.
Right. If that's in you.
Right. But
Mhm.
yeah, but I'm saying scaling it in a way that it makes sense for you
Right. Right.
economically, spatially. There's always a way to grow. And when we were talking earlier, I was just thinking about the different ways people can grow.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to
Yeah,
share it
so
with the
I know
people.
she's got a ton of questions that she.
I know, but I don't. It's like I have a ton. I do.
Yes.
I
So
do.
let's get
Well,
into it, right?
Yeah.
I want. Let's talk about the dirt because and I should have uploaded this picture before so you to see. So I have. It's called Black Cow. It's a manure. This is a manure, but I also get a regular potting soil. Have you ever seen this before? Black Cow.
Are you showing a picture
It's a
of it?
manure, but it doesn't stink. Can you see it?
No, I see a slide with Scott question. Step by step soil preparation.
Oh no, you probably can't see mine. Nah, oh no, I'll have to send you.
Okay.
I
Now,
can't see, but it's called.
I'll reiterate. As a vegan,
Okay, so
ethic
we trying to
vegan,
keep this
ethical
free,
vegan.
sis.
Oh, I'm so
We
sorry.
trying to keep this free.
Well, no,
Well,
this
and
is. Oh, so
also,
you don't even. So with being a vegan, so would not use like animal poop because you're a vegan, huh?
I wouldn't. I mean, I'm just
Wow,
saying
that's
I
I
don't
even.
have
told you
to.
this brother is serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's
So what about regular potting soil? How about that? What oil? What dirt? Because there's so many different dirts when you go to Home Depot. And I know you said before we have like the topsoil,
right.
and then it's a few
I
different
have a.
kind. But if you were going in as a first time grower, what dirt would you pick up?
That's a wonderful question. So I have a video that.
From my own, it's from my own good. Tell me, I'm listening
So
for real.
again, scale what you're trying to
Everybody's
do.
like
But
this.
I did a video once where I broke it down. But on a budget, again, you want to use all the free stuff. It depends. Like, so are you talking about container planning or like outside gardening
Well, I have some I forgot what they're called, beds. Well, I had like the little plastic beds.
for outside, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah.
But I probably will end up bringing them inside though. After the season.
Okay. So I would say, so my basic setup, and this is from when I was getting everything from like the store.
Mm-hmm.
This year, again,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I found a local company that's what they do. They sell topsoil and mulch and all these types of things. So I ordered like a load from them, which is way more economical, lot less plastic being used because
Mm-hmm.
each one of those bags, you take the soil out. Now
Mm-hmm.
you got to deal with the plastic waste.
Right. Right.
So I would encourage anybody, if you can afford it, get it from a local, get a load of soil from a local place. Also, a lot of places do. There's another thing. Like if you have a truck or a flatbed, or you can even rent a flatbed from one of the stores like Home Depot. A lot of places have municipal areas where they have compost. They have, and it's like either free
Yeah.
or like super affordable. You just have to go in there and like, they charge a couple bucks for a load of, you know, compost, and it's really good, you know.
Yeah.
So
At least,
there's saying all that to say it depends on scale. There's always ways of getting around it, but just basically, if you're buying, from the store, I would put in the bottom of my beds the same things I was saying, sticks, leaves, that kind of stuff. Okay, obviously a layer if you're going on ground, if it's a container, same thing, rocks, you know.
Okay.
And then on top of that
All right.
would be really cheap topsoil.
Okay, so I need my regular planting soil and then my topsoil.
No, I'm saying the further down on your first inputs, like the leaves and sticks, I would put a layer of just inexpensive topsoil because again, the plants as they grow, they're gonna root at the
Right.
top of the surface. So my best
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
best
yeah, yeah,
soil
yeah,
would be
yeah,
like
yeah.
at the top, a layer, like I said, peat moss are really good. Your
Mm-hmm.
more, higher end organic soil, but towards the bottom is like the cheaper. And I kind of make it stair step, really cheap topsoil, least expensive potting soil, or like what do they call it? Grow bed soil, more expensive, and then the top layer is like the best stuff like that.
Really? I just would have put all regular dirt in.
And you could have
Well, I had the manure. I was gonna mix it. I have the manure and then I had the planting soil. I was just gonna do those two, but I'm definitely gonna put something
right,
in the middle of it.
sure. So I mean,
I could
right,
blow. Oh, I
I
got
would
plenty of
mix
leaves. I can just blow the yard.
I would mix my manure with my potting soil.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. And,
I'm excited. I'm
going
so
back
excited.
to where you get,
Okay, so
just going back to where you can get, if you need to, like you said, Kyseé, if you're starting for the first time and you have a sizable piece of area that you need to cover, the recycling centers often sell the large quantities that Dita was talking about, where you can come and you basically fill up a dump truck. You know,
hmm
they got that.
there's a place
Mulch.
over in Neptune that sells mulch. They probably have compost over there
Yeah,
too.
but they do.
See? Mm-hmm.
They have soil as well. I think you probably have to be careful with the recycling centers because you don't know what's in that soil, right?
Mm.
So you might want to before you and Dita, you let me know, how you feel about it, but
Test
you
it.
may want to have a small piece tested before you just go full blown and use it,
Mhm.
just to make sure there's
What?
no
How
harmful
can you
toxins.
test them? I have like these acid strips I use when I test my cosmetics. Can I use that same thing? There's like some strip to test the pH, just like some regular pH strips, or do you need something specific like a pH
I think you want to
machine?
make sure there's no, I mean, I think the acidity is fine, but you want to make
No,
sure that
no.
there's no toxins, harmful toxins that you're
So
going to
Okay,
make food with.
there are
that
people
pH
who
not always
will
right.
there are people that will come out, and so like say you want your yard tested. They have like I've seen it's like a spectrometer type thing where they can tell you what the components are in your soil, if there's any heavy metals or anything like that. Most places again have you can send off soil samples. It's pretty easy to Google. Just getting
Mm-hmm.
my soil tested in my area,
Hmm.
type Google search and you can find out where you can send it's a package. They'll send you the package. Some places might charge a little bit, but the only thing I would say, like a lot of these places, municipal places, if you pick up soil and wood chips and stuff from there, my assumption would be that they would have some level of like regulations and oversights, but that's just a guess. I don't know
Yes.
in particular, but yeah, I mean, it's if it's worth getting it checked out. Yeah. So, but these are
So
just
once
like
we
different
get,
ways you can, you know,
I would imagine they would have that checked out because people would. I mean, if I know if I went there and bought some soil to plant and it was bad, I wouldn't come back. So I'm sure that's probably safe over there.
Sure.
You know, level of reputation.
Right.
Yeah. So let's I know because we have we still have some more content to go through.
I still have a lot more questions.
Yeah.
We probably not gonna fit. Well, we started late too.
Yeah.
Well,
So
actually we've been on for 44 minutes. We started late, but we still been on for 44
yeah,
minutes.
I want to get some of those. I don't know if you can hear me, but I want to get some of those detailed planting questions.
Yes.
Right.
Wait. So, because I'm gonna go do this tomorrow, so I need all of this. I got all those questions I gave you are questions. I said I was gonna plant. And I said no. I'm gonna wait till I talk to Dita before I plant anything. I'm like, because we just need to. So one of the other questions I had was, and I learned this. I wish I had known this before. Like, you have to have a certain amount. Well, how deep should you go, and how far apart should you plant?
Sure. Yep. And most package of seeds has that information on the back.
Yeah, but the people don't always read them.
Well, they should. It's right there.
I mean, listen, I didn't. I found out later. Like, wait, what? And I was like,
Yeah. But
yeah,
it depends
so I
on the
didn't.
plant, right? It
Yeah,
depends.
So here's the thing about that too. So there's different philosophies, if you will, on growing and distancing and stuff like that. So there's a way of growing called square foot gardening. And it's basically square foot gardening. And it's been a while since I've read about it, but essentially you create a box that's like 4x4, and then you grid it out based on the type of plant that you're growing, right? So tomatoes need more space than carrots. Carrots need more space than
Okra.
right. Fill in the blank. So each plant has its, according to square foot gardening, each plant has its particular space where the roots are going to expand, and giving it space for that to have it that way.
Yeah, I learned the wrong way. I just sprinkled them.
Right. And like I always tell people, each seed is a plant. One seed, one plant. Some seeds are very
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So how do you actually plant the seeds? What's your method?
So that's what I was saying. So you could plant them like square foot gardening. You can, a lot of people will plant, say, 3 seeds close together and then space them. And then you just kind of prune them back later. So say if I because that's just like a safe gap. That's why you get so many seeds in a package. But again, if you think about each seed is going to turn into a plant. If I plant 3 tomato seeds together, the one on the left starts off looking more healthy. I pluck out the other 2.
Got you. Okay.
Thinning out your garden is what they call it. But then there's dense gardening where people purposely grow things in close proximity because the logic there is that gives cover to kill the weeds and stuff like that. So it's merit to kind of however, it works and what you're producing. I mean, me right now at this point, it depends on what I'm planting and how much I want to get, because like I said, again, if I know that one seed will produce, and then, everybody knows that seeds come in different sizes.
So let's talk about seeds because I know, let's talk about seeds. I want to talk about seeds and what plants shouldn't go. Because I know all plants don't like each other. I know that's what my house plants too. Like I can't, if I want to root one plant, I need to make sure they like each other. So is that the same for like outside? Can we you better not plant those collard greens next to those okras, or do they have rules, or you can pretty much just depends on, you?
Yeah. So,
That's a good
my
question.
ideal is, kind of if you keep it diverse, it's better because like you said, each plant will have its own nutrient requirements. They'll put input into the soil for different things. So it's almost like if I grow tomatoes in this box one year, I'm going to grow like maybe greens in it the next year. I don't generally keep planting the same thing in the same spot over and over. I kind of rotated a bit like that, but I've never seen any like no. But also, then you got to be cognizant of the plant and how it grows. You know, so like if you plant it, let's say
something viney versus something that's not viney.
right. So if you like plant a
strawberry attack.
watermelon, you got to understand that watermelon is going to spread out.
It needs to expand.
Right. So you know, it's going to take up more space. So if you put a watermelon in a bed and then you know put some tomatoes right next to it, that vine might cover over the tomatoes before they can even get to where they need to go. So you got to think about stuff like that and just spacing,
Yeah.
how much space particular plants take up, you know, like, and then how are you going to navigate that? So one thing I would do or have done in the past is create a trellis. Certain things can just grow up.
So they can just grow. Yeah. Okay.
You know, so like certain kinds of watermelon, you know, they only get about this big, so you can bind them up and get them to grow
Right.
you know, up out of the way. Last year, I grew these really big squash, and I kind of planted them at the edge of the box, knowing that they would grow, and so I kind of coached them to grow outside of the box.
Oh, okay.
Outside the box,
right? Yeah, they get big. They definitely get
so
big.
it wasn't encroaching on the other stuff I had on the other side.
All right. So what about seed quality? Because like yesterday when I was buying my seeds, I seen some for $1.29. I seen some for $1.69. Then I seen some for $2.99. What is the difference?
Capitalism. No, it's fine.
I'm like, is it the same way with clothes? Like, do we have Shein and do we have Tom Ford? Like,
right.
How's
That's
that
what I'm
work?
saying. That's how it works. It kind of depends on like you finding out which companies are more reputable than the other ones, you know, and then looking at again, like we talk about organic versus conventional. The $2 ones, $1 ones might be conventional stuff. The $3 ones might be from organic sources. So, you know, it's kind of up to you. And then, like I said,
what about like when you eat, right? And you're eating foods that have seeds, like, you know, if you have peppers and you have your tomatoes, do you save those seeds? Are those good quality seeds as well?
Oh, you absolutely can. Yeah.
I like the free stuff. That's why, you know.
Yeah.
You are hilarious with this free stuff.
You got
the same thing.
my
Like
dad
with
taught me
potatoes.
free is good.
Free is good, but I mean, you know you have to spend some money though.
I mean, at some point, right?
Like with potatoes, right? You want to grow some potatoes. You wait till that one potato starts to sprout on the counter.
Yeah, and they grow fast too. Potato plants grow fast. All right, so tomorrow I just want to make sure I'm gonna do this right. I'm gonna do my some leaves. Then I'm gonna mix my manure and my soil.
Now, I would say put some sticks in the bottom.
I'm gonna find whatever I have back there. I definitely have some behind the garage.
And the only
I
thing that
definitely do.
is for like to encourage drainage, you know.
Right. Yeah, I know that. Man, you know what? I'm gonna drill some more. I'm gonna drill some holes on the bottom of that thing because I know sometimes the draining can be. Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah.
So, Dita, once
collect water and get stagnant.
So there you go. That's where I was going next. So once we got the seeds in the ground, how often should we water? Does it vary from plant to plant? Do you need to read up on it? Give us some guidance, brother.
Oh yeah. Well, so watering is like pretty simple. Like and also like if it's outside, you gotta watch the rain because
over water.
Yeah, with certain amounts of water, like too much water will make your tomato split. You know, so you got to kind of be conscientious of that. I mean,
are there like signs based on the leaves? Will the leaves talk to us and say, "You're overwatering me," or
oh yeah, they sure do.
Hey, I need some help here with some water. Are there signs?
Yeah, generally
they talk. You just have to pay attention.
Yeah, generally speaking, if your leaves start to look wilted, then you know check the soil. It can look dry on the surface. That's why you to avoid overwatering. It'll look dry on the surface. Stick your finger down in there, you know, knuckle deep to see if it's indeed still moist. You know, it's just something you monitor. There's no like particular schedule I follow because again, it's like outside. If it rains, I can't say like water every third day, but and it rained for like a month, you know. So
yeah, I know like on my plant. Well, my plans I do the 1st and the 15th, but you can't give it a schedule because, like you said, you don't know about outside.
And also that's why the sticks and stuff are.
Oh
Because
yeah, help to drain it.
That'll hold in
Mhm.
moisture too. Like that wood will hold moisture. So if you're away for a week, you give it a good water. It's a good chance that your plants will survive a few days. Like
So
I'm dying to know.
won't the leaves give it? I remember my mother always, we have to get the leaves away from the house because it added moisture. So does that add they keep the moisture for the soil too?
like if you use
Was it?
leaves, like you say you plant it, and
Mm-hmm.
then once they start growing, you
Yeah.
fill it around with leaves. Oh yeah,
Does that hold?
that'll keep
Okay.
moisture under the surface.
Okay.
It's a
And because you have the
good
leaves
idea.
in your compost too, right? It'll
Mhm.
help
And the leaves will
maintain that.
help with. So say you get some starter plants, pick them
Mm-hmm.
in. You can cover it around with mulch or leaf mulch, as us poor people like to call it, leaf mulch. That'll keep moisture, like you said, and it'll also help reduce weeds growing in and stuff like. Because weed
Mm-hmm.
seeds can be airborne. It doesn't necessarily, if even as well as I
Yeah.
block
They
off
just come out of nowhere.
the perimeter, and they're not growing
Mm-hmm.
underneath, but they could blow in through the air, or birds will drop them in. You'll have like some weird plants growing in. You're like, where did this possibly come from?
Birds are dropping them in. Wait a minute,
Birds
Bir-
eat plant seeds.
Oh yeah, and they'll just drop some plants from somewhere. Oh,
That's why fruit is.
you have crossbreeds and
That's why
stuff.
fruit is
Oh,
sweet, because the berries want birds to eat it so they can, or other animals to eat it and help propagate. Kind of like a symbiotic relationship type thing.
Speaking of
what a
that,
designer!
I
The
got I got
designer.
I got two questions I'm burning to ask you, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Okay, I'm gonna let you
this
go. 'Cause
this
I've been
sister,
holding
she
it up.
sent me a huge list of these questions. I'm just looking at them over here. I'm trying to squeeze them in. So one of the things that we wanted to know is, what do you personally grow, right?
Again, like, I grow what I like to eat, so that's that. I think that's the main thing, particularly like when we're starting off as growers and we're curious about how this works. A lot of people want to grow what they think you're supposed to grow in a garden, but I would always encourage to grow what you like to eat. Otherwise, it's like you're just exercising. If you don't like okra, why would you
Why you growing
grow
okra?
30 okra plants? Like, what I'm saying? It's like, I don't even like
Right.
this stuff. I don't even
I
like
love
tomatoes,
it.
but you grew up a tomato plant. So always think about the stuff that you like to grow. Um,
Good,
so
good, good.
generally speaking, like with me, I love basil.
Hmm.
So I'll
Mm-hmm.
have like 5 or 6 different varieties of basil going on.
Do you have Thai basil? Because I feel
Thai
like
basil,
I've
it's
only been
delicious.
able to do that hydroponic.
Oh yeah, I grow Thai basil all the time. It's delicious.
Thai basil. Where do you get those seeds from?
You can order them online. I go
I have to
to
go searching.
well, when I lived in Chicago, we had a Whole Foods, and they had a really good line of seeds that they would have. So I got a lot of packs from them. Just you got to pay attention. A lot of
I'll
times,
have to order some. I
um,
love Thai
a
basil.
lot of times, grocery stores, especially the ones that are a little more higher end, they'll
Mm-hmm.
have during when growing season starts, they'll have those seeds on a display. Or if you got a nice garden center near you,
I have to find. I feel like
like
that's
a
the only basil I can
specific.
I'm not
find.
trying to
Sweet
give.
basil, the other basil, but not Thai basil. I've only been able to find that hydroponic.
And there's a
I'm not
lot of
trying to give
Growing those little
Walmart to
seeds.
plug, but I know I've seen in Walmart they have like basil, they have rosemary, cilantro, and
Yeah, those are your classics. I have all
what's the
Yeah,
those.
other
most
stuff?
I can't
people,
wait to plant
most
them.
places that have seeds, but like if you can find a nice garden center, they'll have like so many different
I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have
varieties
to look
from
for.
different companies of seeds, and you can
Let
see
me
which
see if we
ones
got a
will look
garden
good
center
at best.
around
But
here.
again, I love growing basil. I love tomatoes. I grow like several varieties of tomato,
What
carrots.
about potatoes?
Yeah, I'm always trying to grow sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes?
And
No
the
white
interesting thing,
potatoes?
huh?
No white potatoes?
Yeah, but I mean, generally speaking, I like growing like sweet potatoes. I like growing the purple sweet potatoes.
Mm,
It's
purple sweet potatoes. I never seen
they're
purple.
delicious. Wow. Yeah, they're really good.
So yeah, stuff like again, like I said, and again, I have a plant-based diet, so it's almost like I haven't met a vegetable I don't like, except
You never
for,
met a
except
vegetable that you
for,
don't like.
except for bitter melon. Ooh.
bitter melon.
Yeah, bitter melon. That's a rough one. My wife likes it, but
I never even heard of bitter melon. Is it
it's used a lot in like Asia.
okay? Okay.
And
Tastes
then
like
you have
medicine. It's really
what
good
about
for you,
onions?
but
I'm about to say it's gotta be good for you. What is she? How does she prepare it? Does she put it in like a smoothie? Does she eat it plain? You like I don't know what she do with it.
I
Like,
just smell it
I just know you
sometimes. Oh yeah, you're cooking bitter melon. No, but
really.
she likes a lot of fermented foods too. She makes her own like kimchi and
Oh,
sauerkraut and stuff like that.
that's so good for you. All that fermented stuff. Oh my god. So what do you think is the hardest thing to grow? I'm sorry, Nas. I know you had another question.
Yeah,
What's the hardest thing to grow?
and that depends on where you're at. I see.
Well, okay, I'll say this. So
But for
for a
me,
new time grower, what would you say? Don't bother that right now. You need to wait.
maybe like asparagus.
Do this. Okay. Yeah,
And I
yeah,
can say
yeah.
that because asparagus takes like at least 2 years before it grows. Some plants like
Are you s-
Mhm. So
no?
some things they like take um a couple years before they start being growing and being the thing that it is. And asparagus is one of
Wow.
those. It takes about 2 years. So in the second year you'll start getting like a lot of it. But the first year is kind of
So
like you might get one or two sprigs.
so you don't get those same seeds back. Like I know when we had a garden over there, I feel like my grandfather planted collard greens one time. They came back every year.
So yeah, I mean those types of plants, I let them go to seed. I let one or two go to
Mm-hmm.
seed, and you'll get thousands of seeds. Like we, I have a video where me and my kids were harvesting seeds from those types of vegetables, collard greens and kale. And I
Yeah.
mean, I have like one of those brown bags almost full of seeds just from a couple plants.
Can't wait to go out there
But
and
that's
like
the thing
really.
about it. Some plants, they're all different. They're all the seeds, like, it's really, really interesting. Once you start getting into like seeds and like artificial
Mm-hmm.
seeds, certain things you can't grow from seeds per se, you
Yes,
know.
yes, yes, yeah.
So so all that's really, really interesting. Like tomatoes, most things like you almost pull the seeds straight out and plant them, let them dry, plant them. Don't even have to let them dry, plant them.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
but
really? Okay.
tomatoes have like a protective coat over the seeds. So there's
Right,
like
right.
different ways you have to process those seeds out to be able to
Mm.
get the seed,
Mm-hmm.
even though like
Mm-hmm.
that'll naturally occur. And then there's plants for volunteers. So I think that's kind of like with your grandfather
Plants with what?
volunteer.
Okay,
And that
okay.
just means if you let them go to flower, the flower turns into seed pods and they'll just distribute it in that area. Like the thing with
Yeah, they.
the seed pods of like collard greens and kale and stuff like that, they're almost like under
Mm-hmm.
pressure. So if you like squeeze them, they'll burst. They all have like these different ways to like kind of
Germany, right?
germinate and propagate seeds. Yeah.
I just thought about if I take an avocado seed, can I just put that in the ground? That pit.
I've never grown an avocado, but I've seen it. It's kind of like when you do like get some toothpicks and stick them in a
Mm-hmm.
potato and put it in water.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way that I've seen it done before.
I'm so excited. Or I'm sorry, Nas. Go ahead.
Okay,
I'm gonna be
I got
quiet.
like one last question because I know we run out of time, right? So
Oh, we ran out.
what about
I knew this was gonna happen though.
like some of the citrus plants, like oranges and lemons and limes and pineapples? Are those plants that we can actually grow in this area? Like
So
Mm-hmm.
I've
these?
never grown any like citrus trees. Um, but they do have varieties. I mean, yeah, that's why,
I would keep those in the house.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Some of they have like Home Depot has them. Home Depot has them where you can
Grow 'em inside.
Well, I know my we had an apple tree going up in our yard. And it was just there all the time.
Yeah,
There
I'm
are
really
But
focused on the citrus though. If
yes,
it's
I know so my homeboy, he has a citrus tree. He has a lemon tree in his living room.
and does it produce fruit?
Yeah,
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 you can get the
it
ones
does.
that grow
They come in nice
inside,
lemons
but
too.
our
They have them. They have one at Home Depot. I seen they got one at Home Depot for like $60. I forgot one of those fruit trees.
yeah, in our grow zone, we couldn't really do citrus.
Yeah.
And I don't.
But you could do it if you grew it in the house, though,
Yeah, right.
right?
Sure. Or if
Yeah.
you had a
Mm-hmm.
greenhouse or.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get me a lemon tree
Yeah,
for the
that would
house.
be fun.
So I know we're coming up on time. Um, the thing I just want to mention while we're talking about, soil cultivation and planting is, develop a team. I like, we talk about,
That's such a great
study teams,
idea.
but grow teams. Dita, do you
Such a
have
great
any
idea.
recommendations on approaches to like the folks that you want to do this with cooperatively?
Yeah, I mean, on the scale of like community gardening is what I'm familiar with. Um, it's again, we're talking about from having herbs growing on your windowsill to us organizing, large scale production to produce food. And, so it's like whatever variant in between in your own area, in your own knowledge set, you have to figure that out.
So what
Not
I'm
if
hearing you
we,
say is everybody can really participate. You
yeah,
really don't have limitations, right? You may
and
not
so
be
like,
able to grow as much,
right,
right? But because when you said windowsill, right? For people who live in apartments and things of that nature,
right.
they can put something out on their windowsill, like you just mentioned.
Yeah, like gardening to me is like art, you know. I would say,
It is.
well, here's my thing. I would tell everybody at no matter what age you are, try to try to do art. Why would I say that? Because when you do something or you try to do something, you get an appreciation for it. You know,
Yep.
if we as adults tried art more, we would have a better understanding when we go into museums and or we see things and we would know a bit more about it. And that's the same thing with gardening. We should have at least a working understanding of how our food gets to us, and what that process
For
is
real.
about. And again, it's like you're scaling it based off of, so like tomorrow, if I was like, okay, I'm going to try to organize a group of people to garden.
Mhm.
The first thing I would do is see what is already available, what garden clubs already exist, what community gardens already exist. Because then I'm half my work is already done.
Mm.
The stage is set. I'm just trying to make those connections and inputs, like
You're
depending on
doing it
like
with
what.
like-minded people as opposed to trying to find people. They already exist and they're already
Right.
organizing.
So that's always a good place to start where we don't really think about that. We're like, oh, we need to get people together and organize. Well, why don't we see what's already available and see how
Hmm.
we can fit into that
Right.
dynamic that already exists?
And social media, so you could really just go put a blast on Facebook. Who wants to, like we can talk about it here, but I think if you like go make a whole post about it and kept on posting about it, you'd be surprised.
Right. But
Who
then,
would show up
it's
and
like,
want to do it.
let's say, so I think my point is like, so I said, garden is important. Community needs to get involved with it. Everybody, next Saturday, come out, boom. 10 people show up, right? 10 of them have never gardened before. So now I got my work cut out for me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's okay. I would, and then here's the thing about organizing people around gardens. It always happens. Everybody's excited when we first start, right?
Mm.
I get to put the seeds in. I'm out there, like in the video I had, got my outfit on, you know. All right. So that's first step. A month in. Who watered the garden this week? Like another month in. The point is, people show up at the beginning and at the end. They show up at the
Yeah.
beginning when it's time
Mm-hmm.
to start it, and they show up at the
Mm-hmm.
end to harvest, right?
Mm-hmm.
The real work
Mm-hmm.
happens in the middle.
The
So
middle.
if I can find people who understand the middle,
Mm.
then my idea, my wanting to, cooperate with other people makes that a little more bit more
Yeah.
easier. Now, to teach
Yeah.
people to garden and then once they become passionate about it, that's valid as well. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying from an organizational standpoint, it would be better.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit that that's where I generally bail too, right? As soon as I see the weeds popping up and they start looking like they're overtaking the plants.
Well, here's the thing about it. Then you got to show people what's the difference between a weed and a plant.
Yeah.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Because if you never seen them before,
How do you
Those
know?
little green things, are those weeds? That might be your tomato
Mm-hmm.
plant.
Right. Oh,
So
that's
you
Mm-hmm.
gotta,
smart.
those 10 people, you say, go weed the garden. And then you come
And
back and they like, we taking, and
you
it's
don't have
dirt,
nothing.
soil there because they took all the weeds out.
They took the plants out too, right?
So
Mm-hmm.
that's the next step, being able to
Right.
identify plants when they're sprouting as opposed to something that's a weed. A good rule of thumb,
Well, go ahead.
a good rule of
Mm-hmm.
thumb is, again, if you're not really sure about what something is, what I normally do is if it has, a few little leaves on it, I'm like, what is this? I'll pinch off a leaf, rub it in my hand, and smell it. Tomato plants smell like tomato
Mm-hmm.
plants. Mint
Mm-hmm.
plants smell like mint
Okay.
plants. So I might not know exactly what it is, but if I pick it and it smells like a weed,
That's a
it's
no-brainer.
probably a weed. Most plants that we eat have a smell that we can identify.
Yeah, that makes so much
I
sense.
wish you would have told me this last year because
Well, this is why we're
I
doing this, so
I
we don't
thought
make the same
I thought
mistakes.
I planted potatoes and carrots in a bin and I got some really healthy leaves and I was
You
excited.
were just watering the weeds.
I was watering it and then I'm like, this thing is a weed. And then I said, the heck with it, phooey. I'm going to leave this thing alone. I abandoned it. And at the end of the season, I seen a huge sunflower seed.
Did you
Sunflower.
even plant a sunflowers?
Oh,
Bird. Could have been a bird.
I was like, how in the world did this thing get in this bin?
Cross-pollinated.
Right.
I don't have any neighbors or anything.
That's probably a bird for real. But I just want to say for you, this might help you to not leave the plant in the middle.
Are you talking about
Personify
me?
it. I'm talking to you, yeah.
Oh,
And to people, period. So I personify everything. How would you feel if nobody took care of you? You just don't want to not take care of the baby. You got to take care of the
it's
baby.
completely shaming me right now.
Yeah, but if you start, I mean, when I tell you I personify everything, everything. If that was a person, it would want that,
Well,
So
well,
you gotta do it like
well,
that.
one of the things that popped in my mind too is like the reason why most of us can't identify plants is because we get most of our food from the grocery store, which everything is packaged. If
Yeah.
if we got carrots that still had the leaves attached to them, we would know what
Mm-hmm.
a carrot looks like,
Mm-hmm.
as it's growing up.
Right.
If we didn't get tomatoes packaged, so perfectly for us, we would
Yeah.
know what a tomato plant. So it's it's learning that skill, looking at plants, what they look like, and then that helps you to be able to identify the distinct weed. But yeah, but just smelling it helps me a lot too. Just
That's what
carrot,
I'm gonna do from
carrots
here
smell
on
like
out.
little carrot grain.
I'm going to start smelling, brother.
I can't
The
wait.
little
I'm gonna
collard
I
start
can't
green,
smelling.
wait.
even as it sprouts up, if you rub it, it smells like a collard green.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Okay.
I'm so excited. I'm planting my stuff tomorrow.
I think I've learned a lot again, right?
I have learned so much.
Wow.
I can't wait.
So
And I did not Google it because I just wanted to talk.
we started with soil preparation. We got into actually putting something in the ground, right?
Yeah. So how far did we get?
And we
Let's see.
started.
Where's your?
We actually covered them all. I'm looking here.
We did. Okay.
I'm gonna make sure we cover
Okay.
them. But the thing is, we started to get to the next phase, right? We started to
Yeah.
talk about the maintenance, right?
That needs its time
So
too.
we're gonna give
Because I
it.
want to talk about what it's doing when it's, you gotta really talk about cultivating and loving on it
So
too.
we're gonna have to, offline, we'll talk, right? But we're gonna have to space out probably the next episode related to planting, right? Once we have a couple things in the ground, and we can come back with some
Oh
real
yeah,
life.
yeah.
Hey, Dita, this is what happened when we did it. We smelt it,
Right.
and then something else happened, right?
Yeah.
So we want to have you back again, but we got to do some work first, right? We definitely have to do some work. But
That's
I
what's
think we learned a lot. Hopefully
Okay,
you'll
so
come
yeah, that
back.
does make sense. So we can basically close this session out
Yeah,
and then come back once it harvests. Okay.
yeah, and
That makes
well,
sense.
I'll have
yeah.
to
And
report
if
back
you
on
guys are growing, it's like again, we got the front end covered. Get to the point where you got all that, and then we can talk, next steps, and we'll all probably be at the same point.
Well, when are you gonna start planting?
Well, I actually have to look up when the last
Like,
frost is going to be. But I'm preparing my stuff. You see, I got everything organized back there.
Mm-hmm.
We cut the wood for our boxes. The soil's ready to go. I just gotta, whenever the last frost is done, I can just put them
Thank you.
together. And
Yeah,
then we
the
start.
last frost. I'm going to check that out too. Yeah, the
Yeah.
last frost.
I'm happy you said
Yeah,
that.
because
So yeah,
so
now I read the back of the packet. So I'll read the back of the
yeah,
packet. So
read the
it'll
back.
tell you.
Get,
It tells you everything.
back
It
of the
tells you
packet gives
everything.
you all the information.
It tells you everything.
That's
I found it out
that's what
later
happens
on.
sometimes. People, you get excited. Couple
Yeah.
nice days, you go out to the garden center, buy your tomato plants, stick them out in the ground. Still got some frosty days left. But
Yeah.
also
That's
we can
stuff.
talk about too, if you do get starters, how to harden the plants so you can get them prepared to go out into the garden. It's
Yeah.
so much. It's so much.
It really is. Even we need to come back too, because I need to talk about how I killed my plants, my starters, because like I know.
We're going to definitely talk about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Let's wait,
That's
because
why we need some
we'll be here
space.
longer.
We need some space to figure out what happened. So we can come
But
back
no,
and
we need to talk about this is stuff we need to talk about. Okay, we talk about the planting, but there's a whole different the seedlings need their own that needs its own time. The
we going to
seedlings.
come back, right? We going to organize
Yeah.
offline. I don't think we can
Oh
figure it out.
yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up today.
Yeah, we got to wrap
We're
up.
gonna wrap
We
this
got to
up.
wrap this one up, right?
All right, guys. So, yeah.
Brother, as always, I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you so much.
Kyseé, again, appreciate you and allowing us to be on your platform. To be
Absolutely.
able to
Thank
help
you for coming.
to help our people, right? Because this is right now we are not okay.
No,
There's
we
a
are not.
lot of stuff we have to learn, and then there's a lot of stuff that we have to promote, and there's a lot of stuff that we have to do, right?
Yeah.
We have to do those three things to develop mastery and get control over our own destiny.
Well, everything's in time.
So,
Everything's in time.
so with that, Hotep.
Hotep. Guys, so thank you so much for being here with us. We are here every Sunday at 7 p.m. talking about how we can grow as a culture, how we can be better. We hope that you join us next week. Please like, subscribe, and share the video. Please inbox us if you want to get on a grow team. We want to build this so we can spread the love amongst us.
For sure.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys, and we'll see you next week. Hotep. Peace out.